Alrighty folks, we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. What we got set up on the bench is a 180 amp hour CALB grey cell, a 1500 amp 75 millivolt shunt is bolted to its most negative terminal, and attached to the positive terminal and the shunt are some 20 by 10 millimeter copper bar stock sections. So what could I possibly be doing here? Well, I'm either trying to blow myself up, or I'm trying to measure high impulse currents from the grey cell. Now, in order to achieve that, we have our JLD 404 set up here to measure current, and if my crappy camera will focus, you can hopefully see that we're putting 40 amps into the cell right now. That's courtesy of the CALB 6. So on the left of our picture we have current on the JLD 404, and on the right we have another JLD programmable voltmeter that I got from EVTV, and that's going to display the cell voltage. So in theory we should be able to see simultaneous voltage and current readings on camera here when I ultimately take my life into my hands, and between those two bars that you see sticking up there I'm going to put some conductive elements. So what we have to do at the minute is wait for the cell to come up to voltage. So we're pumping 40 amps into it now, so probably got something in the region of maybe 2 hours or so to go with that. So when the cell comes up to 3.65 volts and we taper the current off, which for this cell would be what, 0.05 C would be 9 amps. We'll be doing a shutdown, and we'll then have some pieces of, as I say, conductive element to place between the prongs, and it's going to depend upon the resistance of those elements and the resistance of the entire circuit path to see how much current that we can actually draw. I'm somewhat limited by the shunt. It's going to limit me to 1500 amps, which is not even 10 C for that cell, but it should yield some interesting info about the capacity of the cell to deliver very high impulse currents and hopefully not have undue voltage sag while it's doing so. Now, you have to forgive the crudity of the setup here, because believe it or not I'm in the process of moving house, so I'm kind of doing this in the midst of a workshop that I'm tearing apart and putting all of the equipment on pallets and getting ready to move it all out of here this weekend. So well, it's either going to be a new house or they'll be scraping my charred remains out of this place, so better make sure my life insurance policy is paid up. Anyway, leaving those morbid concerns aside, I should have to say that I've been very impressed with what I'm seeing about the little grey cell, so we'll see how it performs on this particular battery of tests. A nasty feeling I'm not going to be able to hold the impulse current for very long. I've done some high current experiments more just for fun with transformers and just heating up pieces of steel and that. Now the voltages I would have been using on the transformer would have been actually quite similar to what we're going to have here, insofar as that well, probably around 2 volts, 2.5 volts, but a couple thousand amps. Unfortunately my clamp-on DC ammeter only goes up to 400 amps, but the JLD will take us up to 1500. And I have to say, just as a general observation about that meter, you may recall that when I was doing some headway cell testing that I was using a 1000 amp shunt, and I was, you know, charging at maybe 30 amps or so, and I was still getting quite good accuracy on it. Well, I don't know if you can see it there now, but the display is on current on the 404, and it's cycling between 39 and 40 amps, which is exactly what the CALB 6 is dishing out, and that's with a 1500 amp shunt on there. So certainly shows that the thing has the resolution to measure small currents even with a large shunt on there. I should probably also mention that one of the reasons I'm doing this test is that the next project is going to involve these cells, probably something in the region of 55 to 60 pieces. Most probably going to be in an E39 5 Series BMW, so you could almost say this is the first tentative steps towards that project. So okay, we'll come back when the cell is charged, and going to short the damn thing out and see what happens. Hang on to your butts. Okay, so we're zoomed in on the meters. I'm going to get our feet wet a little bit here, just a little piece of 0.75 wire, and I'm going to bridge the two bus bars, and we're going to try to not buck the meters and or burn my hands up. So here we go. So this is just normal PVC coated wire. It's about, oh, maybe 400 mil long, and we are shorting. Whoa! Let's try again. Very serious. That's a very strong voltage source. So now there's some melted cable. Okay then, let's try a piece of steel with our saw cut in it. Oh yeah. I think we're not making good contact. Whoa. Okay. There's probably a lot more current than I'd anticipate flowing through this. Okay. Well, all the fun of the fair. Okay folks, we did have a bit of success there. I changed tactics using a piece of 10mm round bar. Unfortunately the JLD starts squealing when the voltage drops. I still kind of know how to solve that, but I can't remember how to do it, so must be old age creeping up on me. So here we go. This is 10mm steel bar, short circuit. Well, we got ourselves a heater here, folks. Things are getting warm. Steel is expanding. We're still holding 3 volts at 500 amps. We got ourselves a heater. It's now welded on. It's glowing. We're still pulling 500 amps. Things are getting extremely warm. Try and zoom out the camera a little bit. You guys get a look at what's going on here. We are 450 amperes at 3.7 volts. And this is the scariest thing I've done in a good while. Silence JLD. 464 amps at 3.06 volts. We are holding 465 amps, 3.06 volts. And that steel is warm. But it's a good guideline for kind of resistance I'm going to need to draw 1000 amps. So not bad for a first test. So what's that? So that's about 1.5 kilowatts of power being delivered into that steel bar there now. I'll see if we can zoom back in on the can't believe it's actually sustaining it. This is the scary part. I'll try and zoom back in on the meters. It's more important than looking at a glowing bar. There we go, guys. 470 amps at 3.05 volts. And I can actually feel the radiated heat even standing back from that about 3 or 4 feet. 475 amps, 3.05 volts. We go back to the bar, just in case you think I'm kidding. Let's see, oh, there it goes. Oops, we got a fire. Fire! Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! We're burning. Burning, melting. Well, at least the case is flame proof. So, let's see if we can bend it. It's cooled off too much. So, okay then, after that interlude, hopefully we're back on to our meters again. And let's see what we got. That bar is warm. Okay, so let's see, we can go back on a meter. And the voltage immediately came back up to 3.28 volts. So that was fun, because it looks as if the spacing between the copper bars is just about right for the kind of resistance we need to draw that kind of current. So putting my hand on the flat of the cell here, and it's actually quite cool. The copper bus bars are quite warm. Base of the cell is cool. Up around the terminals. The shunt is actually reasonably cool. I can hold my finger on it. Just the copper bars will have basically been conducting heat out of the steel, so that will have interesting. Okay, let's see if we can repeat the test. Again, we're just going for a piece of steel. It's interesting that at these voltages everything is a resistor. There we go. Oh, will you stop it, JLD? Okay, I'll put a name for it other than JLD. Stop making noise, god damn it. Thank you. Well, this time I'm doing the slightly smarter thing and keeping my hand on it. I have to keep a little bit of downward pressure to keep the current up around the 500 amps mark. Okay, so there's 500 amps. And there's a piece of steel. Now, you know, there's not too many batteries out there that you could do that kind of a thing with. So let's say that's doing around 3.05 volts at 500 amps, which we can hopefully repeat. Yeah, about 3.1 volts at 500 amps, dropping slightly, 3.08. Gotta say, this would be a handy means of zoom up onto the prongs, give you guys a bit of a heart attack here. There we go, should be on the prongs. Right, the old camera skills aren't exactly Cecil B. DeMille here, but okay, let's go again and prepare for the beeping. So there's a piece of bar. There we go, 500 amperes. No, 520 actually. At 3.1 volts. Falling back to 3.08 volts. I can probably that's some serious current. 510 amps at 3.07 volts. And the heat, just I can see the heat haze just coming up off this thing. It's crazy. 496 amps at 3.06 volts. So I mean that's like a 500 amp controller full on. And we're self-sustaining again until it falls off and sets fire to something else. Such as that. There we go. There you go. That's a 10 mil bar. So let's see if we can find something else and draw some more current. Back soon. Okay guys, I had a bit of a rummage through the toolkit and I found the proverbial 18mm spanner. Now, BMW do use them on some fittings, but apart from that, pretty much useless. So we're going to drop an 18mm spanner across those probes and see what that baby can do. So first off, we'll focus in on the meters. I know there's probably two schools of thought out there watching this. One of you are thinking meters, other one are thinking I want to see something happen. So we'll try to address both camps, but the purpose of this, strangely enough, is to do some reasonably scientific testing. So at least I have to appear to be doing that, or otherwise the ratings fail and my show gets cancelled, and you know I have to be relegated to the cancelled shows. So okay then, let's do something you would never deliberately do. Drop an 18mm spanner across a battery terminal. So let's see how this is going to work, because I'm not going to be able to hold it for long, I can pretty much guarantee that. Okay, here we go. Damn, we're getting some arcing, but not exactly I think it's the coating on the spanner isn't exactly helping me out here. There we go, 2000 amps, just like that. Whoa. I think we got up to 1900 there for a second, but probably didn't get to capture it for long enough. But at least we know what it takes to get 2000 amps out of this thing. And oh boy, it's hot even through these gloves. The damn thing is smouldering. Okay, right. So I'm going to need something to hold it. So we'll use a vice grips to actually hold the spanner. But at least we've got a way to get a bit of current. And rather interestingly, we know that even if we overdrive the JLD, it still seems to be capable of reading current, because we're only using a 1200 or a 1500 amp shunt, I should say. Okay, here we go. (1,500 amps, 2.85 volts. 1,100 amps, 2.9 volts. You've got a hell of a glowing spanner here, guys. 800 amps, 2.96. The spanner is absolutely glowing here. It's burning the coating off it. The radiated heat is quite intense. I'm going to break the circuit now. That's what happens when you drop a spanner across a lithium iron phosphate cell, guys. Okay, well, at least we know now, shut up, what it takes to actually get some amps flowing. Now, you know, wow, that was kind of scary. Right, so the moral of that story is, don't drop a spanner into your battery box, especially if it's CALB grey cells. Okay, well, of course the one thing about doing an experiment is that it's got to be repeatable, so let's go for it. Take two. (1,000 amps at 3 volts. See how the spanner is getting hotter. Its resistance is increasing. Now we got more glow going on. Oh, we got serious glow. Okay, breaking the circuit. Heat. Well, thank you JLD, we know. It's kind of a handy fire alarm kind of a thing, in that it knows. I think I've set the alarm on it to 3 volts or something. I think that's what's causing it. Yeah, that's what it is. I've set the alarm on it because I was using it for some bottom balancing. So let's let the spanner cool down for a second. And what we'll do is now, for all you guys out there that want to see what it looks like, but who are afraid to actually try it, or I should say too sensible to actually try it, we're now going to zoom in on the probes. One thing I don't want to do is to put that spanner in water, because I don't want it to become brittle on me. So I suppose it's a bit late for that. It's actually got a twist in it, guys. Okay. So this time what I'll do is I'm just going to put the spanner on, and I'll call the current and voltage, and we'll keep it on there until well, till we can't anymore. So take 3 with the spanner. (1,000 amps, 2.99 volts. I'm gonna have to just switch them like that. Well, Mayday, Mayday. Pancake Tuesday. Go on, there you go. 880 amps at 2.99 volts, ladies and gentlemen. We're now at 825 amps at 2.99 volts. 760 amps at 2.99 volts. The spanner is twisting here. I'm having to keep some pressure on it with the vice grips to keep it in place. So we're now at 750 amps at 2.98 volts. Still maintaining 750 amps down to 730 amps at 2.99 volts. As the song would say, it's getting hot in here, and I don't think taking my clothes off would be the solution to it, so breaking the circuit might be. We're now at 700 amps at 2.99 volts. You know, if you told me if you told me yesterday even that I was going to be doing this, I'd have said you're crazy. But it's the thing about this EV game, guys, it just keeps on giving, doesn't it? So we're now at 737 amps at 2.97 volts. So I think I'm going to. Are we self-sustaining? No, we're not. Look at that. We got a real melter here. We got a twisted spanner. Spanner is twisting. We're now at 700 amps, 2.99 volts. Oh, I think my glove is starting to melt. No, it's actually the vice grips. All of the oil is starting to melt out of the vice grips. 730 amps, 2.97. Let's break the circuit. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest means of forging spanners. Just use a lithium iron phosphate cell. Right, well, I think, and if I can, hang on a minute, I'm going to have to put this somewhere because it's like here we go, let's put it down there. Let's see if we can just get a quick zoom back in on the meter. See the spanner smouldering away merrily there in the background, hopefully. And as you can see, we're back up to 3.25 volts. Now, interestingly, right, I zeroed the JLD before all of this mayhem, so what we're going to do, if that doesn't start a fire through infrared heating back there, is we're going to see how many amp hours that we consumed out of our cell. We consumed a total of 80.53 amp hours out of our cell, folks, during those rather heady. Now, do you know what would be interesting as a final hurrah? Will be if we spanner it with the JLD set to the amp hour setting, just to see if that thing, to see how fast it can go. And that is if I can stand the heat. I mean, the old saying is, if you can't stand the heat, you need to get out of the kitchen. Well, I am out of the kitchen, but just not out of the heat, so I'm going to need one of those fire suits like they have on Mythbusters, I think. It'll be probably the only way to do it. Okay. Now, trusty spanner, okay, which has got a hell of a twist in it right now. Twisting time is here. So we're in on that. We got 80.53 amp hours at 3.28 volts. So once more onto the breech, dear friends. I'll try and twist the spanner backwards this time. Look at those amp hours go, folks. Go on. And the spanner is warming up and is actually starting to twist back into shape now. So there's the amp hours. Okay, let's see, back to current. Yeah, it's only a mere 780 amps at 2.97 volts. The vice grips is starting to melt now. Well, in the event I don't make it, it's been a true honour. Yeah, well, it's kind of getting boring now, isn't it? I mean, it's And ooh, the spanner is glowing. Let's get all excited. So there's 750 amps at 2.96 volts. Right, well, that's enough for today. The glowing spanner test. A Quinn Martin production. Right. See you all soon, folks, and the next transmission will be from the new studio. Hopefully, that is if I can get all the crap out of here by the weekend. See you later.